I think every song could have been a single on Pyromania.
We will never get a Def Leppard album this good or this quality ever again.
Hysteria is is probably my favorite album of all time.
I do feel like they made a huge mistake on this album, having Darth Vader do the background vocals on Love Bites.
If you don't run off with some seedy stripper, you might die in a sea of bush light.
Hey, CD strippers need love too, all right?
And I hope you guys got the Easy Cheese cans ready because this roundtable is about to get cheesy again.
And any band would give their right arm to sell 12 million copies. Well, except for Rick Allen.
I mean, these last two albums for me, it's a direction I wish the band stuck with.
Pour Some Sugar on Me, strippers around the world rejoiced.
I mean, it's obvious that most of you guys don't know shit about music, so.
There you go, yep. And I can't go through this album without bringing up the shit show that is Love Bites.
But you polish a turd and it's still a turd. Isn't that the old homage?
We've been trying to figure out a way to get you to shut the fuck up anyway, so.
Hey, if I want to listen to a Saxon album, I'd put on Saxon.
Bergie was telling me that when he was a kid, his mom wouldn't even breastfeed him. She said she only liked him as a friend.
Brian, who's now not my friend.
You guys notice that when Brian's sick, like, man, he really is short and kind of a fucking dick.
I hope his fever gets to 106 now.
Well, obviously, my list was the correct list, and the rest of you don't know shit. Look, I came here to do two things: chew bubblegum and talk hair metal. And it looks like I'm almost out of bubblegum. Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And look, we have a bunch of sexy bitches back because we are doing another round table. And this time it is the Def Leppard in the round table. So with that, we got Bergie from the Rock Resurgence Radio back. He is without his partner Chad. We got Jay, we got Ryan, we got Brian from the Hairband Basement, we got Jeremy. Bergie, first, let's welcome you back. How's it going, man?
Good. So happy to be here. I'm sad my partner couldn't make it tonight, but he's got this new job. Anyway, I'm gonna go solo tonight. It's gonna be fun.
All right, awesome. And we did start late because Bergie was crying for a few minutes, and we had to let him wipe his tears off because Chad's not here. Okay, Jay, welcome back to the show. Jay from Iowa.
How's it going?
Great.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you back. Talking metal. Jay has plays in a band down in Iowa. They are kind of on hiatus, but he's a kick-ass guitar player. In the lower left-hand corner, we got Ryan, the lead singer of the band Metalcast, and a regular member of the Hair Metal Guru video team, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, fellas. Very much looking forward to this. This is very important band to me, so this is going to be good.
This is Ryan's favorite band.
Second
below
favorite.
me, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but below me we got Jeremy, the drummer for the band Abrasion and a teacher out in North Dakota. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing great, guys. Just want to say happy to see Ryan at home tonight. Good to see you in your own element, bro. And Brian, good to have you here on the Flu show tonight. So
Yeah.
just an all-star cast we got. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep. Brian from the Hairband Basement is not feeling the best, but he sucked it up because he said, you know what? The fans mean more to me than my health. So Brian, welcome back.
Let's slow down there, but all right. Yeah, if I sound like shit, it's not just the stuff I say, it's the cold I got, whatever the hell this is. So
why don't you tell everybody about your show on Station Head?
Let me plug my shit. I got a show on Station every Friday night where I play the deepest of tracks, the rarest of bands, and the little known songs of the biggest name artists from before, during, and after the decade of decadence. So if you're done hearing the same old songs from this genre, tune in, download the app, put in Hairband Basement, you'll find the show. Also, I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, at HB Basement, always talking music there.
Bergie was telling me that when he was a kid, his mom wouldn't even breastfeed him. She said she only liked him as a friend. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, okay. So, yep. Go check out Brian's show on Station Head, and please follow me on X at Hair Metal Guru. Join the conversation. Follow me on Facebook at Hair Metal Guru. At Hair Metal Guru. I also have a Facebook page called Classic Rock Fargo. If you are new to the channel, would love it if you would subscribe, what the hell, ring the bell, get notifications, and whatever you can do to support the channel. Just know that I appreciate you being here. Got a couple framed things I want to show real quick in honor of Def Leppard. So I have something from every album that we're going to cover. Here is a framed ad for the Pour Some Sugar on Me single from Hysteria that came from a Kerrang out of the UK. So everybody, most people know High and Dry didn't really blow up. So they only got a black and white ad. This came from like a Hit Parader ad for High and Dry. Here is, we got something for Adrenalize. And this, it's black and white, unfortunately, but from 1979 for the very first, for On Through the Night, some early, I don't know how much I would sell that for, but anyway, that's hanging in the house from High and Dry. And then my favorite, just because I love how this ad looks, and it's a bigger one, for Pyromania. So those are the 5 albums that we are going to be discussing. And if you've watched any of our previous roundtables, we're going to do the same format. Start with our 5th favorite, go on to our first. Wait for somebody like Ryan to throw a big fucking wrench in because he always does something stupid. But just kidding, Ryan. So anyway, with that, let's get into it. Def Leppard, one of the biggest bands of the hair metal, 80s hard rock genre. And we are going to start, let's start. I'm going to start with Brian from the Hair Band Basement, and then we're going to go Jeremy, Ryan, Bergie, myself, and we'll finish with Jay for the first round. So, Brian, what's your number 5 favorite Def Leppard album of this period?
All right, so mine's got a little background to it. In the liner notes on Hysteria, they said we won't make the fans wait 4 years for a new album. And my number 5, we waited 5 years for this album. It's Adrenalize. I mean, we waited a long time for this album until we heard 5 of the worst words in all the genre. Do you want to get rocked? And everyone was like, what the hell is this garbage? And the song stinks. The lyrics are terrible. And the video was horrendous. Just a little cherry on top of this shit Sunday. But I mean, I want to say the only song I really they tried really hard to do Hysteria 2 and just didn't work. But the only song I ever go back to is Tear It Down. And even that's not the good version of it. So, I mean, yeah, that was a B-side to Women, the better version of it. So, yeah, this is my number 5. It was, I think, made the flops list that we did. It just was not as good as Hysteria, just did not have the songs and just didn't work for me.
Yep. Adrenalize sold 3 million copies, did debut it at number 1, but we put it on the flops episode because Hysteria was over 10 million. I think it's at 12 now. So, okay, your number 5 was Adrenalize. Geronimo, what's your number 5?
All right. I actually switched this up just today. And I hope you guys got the Easy Cheese cans ready because this roundtable is about to get cheesy again. I'm sorry. I apologize now. But as some of you may or may not know, I'm a car guy. I love cars. So I'm going to have a lot of car innuendos. I'm going to have car metaphors, some euphemisms in here. I'm going to go all over the place. But let me just start with my number 5.
Hey,
so I switched this.
Jeremy, you and I are the only people who are really educated in here. So you can't be using big words like euphemism and expect all the morons that are on this panel to know what the hell you're talking about. So
hey, there's online dictionary. There's online dictionary, Guru. But anyway,
sorry, Brian and everybody.
Okay, anyway, I switched today, and I'm going to go with On Through the Night, and let me explain. I look at this as like a new import brand. You got Def Leppard Motor Company coming out, this import overseas from Sheffield. They put out this new awesome model. No one has ever seen anything like it. It sounds good. It sounds innovative. It's great. It looks good. It's got that new car smell. And unfortunately, in the US, we just weren't able to get our hands on it. It was kind of like some of those other imports from overseas. It didn't become available to us here in America until Def Leppard blew up in the States. But it sat over there, and then eventually, Hysteria hit, and then you could get your hands on all that. But it's not a bad album. But the reason I put it number 5 is the second half, although I found it better this time listening, it left me kind of wanting more because I felt like there were 2 or 3 songs that were interchangeable. They almost sounded Fastway-esque. I kept hearing Fast Eddie Clark. I kept hearing some snippets of Europe, old school Europe in there, and they're good songs. But I felt like the last 4 or 5 on Through the Night were kind of interchangeable for me. So that's why I put it where I did. I also feel it was lacking that Def Leppard gang vocal that we became so accustomed to that started coming on the 3rd and 4th, 5th albums. So that was another reason. And Joe hadn't developed his snarly voice yet. So again, it was their debut. I didn't know about it till way after the fact. I hear a lot of Fastway, a lot of Def Leppard, or a lot of Europe, which I love both of those bands. But I don't know. I felt like the last 3 or 4 songs I could definitely skip most times. So that's why it came in number 5 for me.
Okay. All right. On Through the Night. We got 2 differentiating opinions so far. Let's find out what Ryan's number 5 is.
Okay, 2 points first. AC/DC is my favorite band.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Brian, I must agree with you. The other Tear It Down, cooler version. That's probably the only thing I'll agree with you on your number 5 pick. Because my number 5...
You could be wrong. It's all right.
Oh, shit. My number 5 is On Through the Night. And here's what I got to say about this album. Cool artwork. That's all. Just joking. That cool artwork is pretty much my favorite part. Hey, if I want to listen to a Saxon album, I'd put on Saxon. So I'm just not good with early Def Leppard. And I mean, but what's to be expected in the late 70s? It's very new wave of British heavy metal, but it's not for me. And I know it's for a lot of people, and that's fine. Just like Motley 94 isn't my cup of tea, but I know it's really good hard rock. This is really cool new wave of British heavy metal stuff, but it ain't my I love polished Def Leppard. I'm a sucker for it. Hence this. So even after a few re-listens, I'm not that interested still. Everyone has a first album. It's a great foundation, but I'm such a sucker for the polished Leppard. And to Jeremy's point, Joe did not find his voice. And when we did our top 10 male vocalists of all time on the Guru show, Joe Elliott was my number 1. And he really hit his stride from like 81 on for me. So that's why I have this at number 5, although I know it's a really cool foundation.
Okay. Interesting. Bergie, where you at, man?
Oh, so I blew it without my partner here, and I didn't get my plugs in. So if you don't mind, you can find me and Chad usually on Rock Resurgence Radio on YouTube. You can check us out anywhere you can get a podcast. You can download our podcast, but we want you to check us out on YouTube. That's where to find our good stuff. We can play some music on there. So anyway, to my number 5, it's also On Through the Night. Made a few notes here. I mean, I had this album, I think, for 35 years, and I do remember liking it. But listening to it now, I really don't. It sounds dated. What you said, Ryan, about the new wave of British heavy metal, spot on, like Saxon. You can really hear the influences in it. And I'm not saying it's a bad album. It's just none of the songs want to make me sing along like on some of the other albums that we're going to talk about. I'm not going to play air guitar along with this album. There's some, again, not to say there's nothing good about it. It's just my least favorite. And I think the other 4, in most cases, are much, much better. And I guess we'll get to that. Some highlights. I like Rock Brigade. I like Wasted. I actually like Overture at the end of the album. But other than that, it just doesn't do it for me. It Could Be You, stupid chorus. I hate it. I don't have much bad to say about any of these albums, so that's probably the worst it's going to get for me. But that's my least favorite, On Through the Night.
Okay. I'll be honest, this was a tougher decision than I thought it would be for my last couple. But I'm gonna go with Brian, and I'm gonna say Adrenalize. I'll say this about Adrenalize. I like it musically. I like the music on not every song, but I liked some of the music. But these are the most god awful fucking lyrics that I have ever heard.
Thank you.
On fucking CD. And I know they were going for Hysteria Part 2, but the lyrics on Hysteria sound like fucking Einstein compared to shit that they were doing on it. I mean, check mow the lawn, walk the dog. Are you fucking
I was spit out my water. I forgot about that. I totally
Jesus.
forgot about that garbage.
So
God.
That's how I still get my kids to do their chores.
So okay.
Take out the trash. No way, man.
Yeah. Tidy your room. Come
Yeah.
on and get real. You guys are almost 40 or 30 something. So okay, it went number 1 on Billboard. It was 3 times platinum. And they should have made the turn. Here's what I mean by should have made the turn. Your guitar player died. You had the chance to do what you should have done, which is what Warrant did, what Winger did, and incorporated. We were all getting older. I was ready for some better lyrics. I was ready to move on from Pour Some Sugar on Me. And with the death of Steve Clark, you could have did that. And what they did with this album, holy shit. So, okay, we talked about Let's Get Rocked. Check out these lyrics from Heaven Is. And I like the music to Heaven Is. Heaven is a girl I know so well. She makes me feel good when I feel like hell. I mean, roses are red, violets are blue. Fucking desire fire. Okay, make love like a man.
That's another one.
Don't call me gigolo. Don't call me Casanova. Just call me on the phone and baby, come on over. Anyway, I liked the ballad. Have you ever needed somebody so bad? Back in the day, I thought it was a decent ballad. I love Tear It Down. And you're right, the better version was probably the Hysteria version that was a B-side, but I still really like this version too. But I cringe listening to these lyrics. They had an opportunity to do something so much better, and they passed because they were like, hey, we're gonna make, we're just gonna do that pop rock and that might have, I bet if this thing came out in 89, it sells 5 to 8 million copies. But it came out in 92. And most people were going, what the fuck are you doing? So Adrenalize is my number 5. Moving on to our number 4. And we're going to start with...
Jay didn't go yet.
Fuck. Jay? Sorry, man. Jay, hey, when you're in Iowa, people just tend to overlook you. And sorry about that.
Who's better?
You're not wrong. We are a flyover state.
Hey, man. You're preaching to the choir. Jay, what's your number 5, man?
Well, I'm with the majority on Through the Night. It's not a bad album at all. It is definitely like listening to Saxon, so I agree with that. Rock Brigade's a great song. Waste is a great song. It Don't Matter is a great song. The rest of it's good. Production on it's shit, but that's what you'd expect back then. Tying in with the new wave of British heavy metal. The producer, Tom Malone, is the same guy who did some Judas Priest stuff. So, it fits for what they were at the time, but it is not aged worth of shit.
Okay. All right. That's our number 5s. Moving on to our number 4s. I'll be honest. I expected that Adrenalize was going to be the majority and not.
Yeah, I did too.
But, it's obvious that most of you guys don't know shit about music. So
there you go. Yep.
Anyway. All right. Jeremy, what's your number 4?
Oh, okay.
Hey, sorry, guys. I got to run real quick. I'll be right back.
Right on.
Are you butthurt because you made fun of Adrenalized?
He has to masturbate once an hour, and now it's just happens to be the time. So,
wow.
Anyway, Jeremy, moving on.
All right. I'm going back to the cheese table here. Yeah, like I said, I flip-flopped 4 and 5 just yesterday or today. I don't recall which really, but Number 4, no surprise, this was going to be my number 5, but it is Adrenalize. I wish Ryan were here for this because he kept saying polished. He kept referencing polished, and it was. But you polish a turd, and it's still a turd. Isn't that the old homage? Isn't that what we say? Yeah, and that's really, sadly, what I found this to be. You know, when it came out, it had all the bells and whistles. It had that the shiny new paint. It had the fancy rims, the fancy tires, everything you wanted in a new sports car. You know, you were excited to drive it. You're excited because it had those slower tunes to cruise down by the river. It had those high octane tunes to take a drive out on the PCH. It had everything initially. It was that first drive, you know, you fell in love with it. But this was a car, an album where you get buyer's remorse pretty quickly. And, you know, after a little while, you start finding yourself getting pretty bad fuel mileage with the thing. You find it's pretty low on horsepower, and it really, truly lets you down, leaves you sitting on the side of the road. And I didn't feel that way until about 10 years ago when I started listening to this again. And Guru, you said it with every lyric you brought up, man. I just can't do it. It'd be different if they were in their 20s, 30s, maybe, but they were pretty damn old already when they were putting this stuff out. Musically, I'm with you. There's some great music on it. But dang, guys, come on. Did you have your local English class write you, like you said, roses are red, violets are blue, haiku or something? Yeah. It just fell short lyrically. That's my 4.
Okay, we're gonna move. We'll get back to Ryan, and we'll go over to Bergie. What do you got, Bergie?
Well, I messed up again. I have a note from Chad for every one of his picks too, so I just want to say his number 5. I just have a sentence on each one. His number 5 was Adrenalize, and his note says, "Stand Up and Have You Ever are the only songs I like." So,
okay,
now I'm about to stick up for that album for my number 4. Just like Jeremy, I actually flip-flopped too. I had Adrenalize at 5, and then I listened to both of them again. And I flipped them back. I put On Through the Night at 5, and I put this at 4. And I understand. I mean, there is, I get it if you put this at 5. Cheesy, cringy lyrics in a lot of the songs. But I just like the feel and the sound of this better than On Through the Night. And I'm going to say this. This came out in March of 92. So this was, everybody else was trying to keep up with the grunge and whatever else, and doing their more thoughtful lyrics and things like that. Granted, yeah, like I said, cheesy, but I don't mind that so much. I did hear something about Let's Get Rocked, and I never actually watched the video when it came out. When I did see it, I'm like, oh my God, I just about threw up looking at it. I did read something somewhere about this where it was in 92, it kind of makes sense. It was kind of like a Bart Simpson tribute thing.
Right.
I don't know if that's a fact or not.
The way of saying shit, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Let's Get Rocked, not the best song and not one of my 3 favorites either on it. Tear It Down, you guys already talked about that. Same deal. I think that's a really great song. Heaven Is, I really like that song. I mean, yeah, the lyrics are cheesy and cringy and whatever else, but I really like it. Even Make Love Like a Man, I like the composition of that song. I think it just sounds great. Just the way he sings in it. And somebody mentioned this too about the gang vocals. This is just more the Def Leppard style that I like. Anyway, Chad's real quick, number 4, Hysteria. Pour Some Sugar on Me, strippers around the world rejoiced. They all have their new favorite song. Gods of War, awesome. Don't Shoot Shotgun, more rockin'.
We now know why he wasn't here tonight, guys.
Yeah, what the fuck? Because he's with a bunch of strippers.
Well, Andy put Hysteria 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
it.
Ooh, you're not gonna like me.
Okay.
Oh no, Brian.
All right, Ryan. We're gonna go back to you. So Ryan, what's your number 4?
Sorry about that. Got a sick kid I had to try to deal with. Okay, so I got High and Dry as number 4. This is the beginning of the glory years for me. I love it. The only reason it's number 4 is because I can admit that like I said, I'm a sucker for the polished stuff. So Let It Go is like a 10 out of 10 for me. You start to hear that huge backup vocals on this song. The pre-chorus of You Got Me Running is amazing. The song On Through the Night is killer. Mirror, Mirror is killer. There's not a bad song on this album. I'm so stoked to hear the Mutt influence and Def Leppard start to really find their wheelhouse. And it just gets better and better from here. So this is where I got high and dry.
Okay. All right. Geez, there are some surprises in here. Charlie wants to, you're very desperate for attention. You're so pretty and you're very smart. And you're going to be famous on YouTube. Okay. My number 4 is On Through the Night. And I like this album. I don't love it. Okay. FYI, it came out in 1980, number 51 on Billboard, and it went platinum. But I think a lot of that platinum comes down to Pyromania blew up and everybody started going back to buy the first 2 albums. Okay. So Rock Brigade, very good. Hello America, very good. I don't like Sorrow as a Woman. Wasted, I really like. And It Don't Matter is a really good song. So it's a good album, but I don't need to revisit it. I very rarely go back, In fact, I I probably don't play it on purpose ever. If I hear it, it's good. And I listened to each of these probably twice over the last few days getting ready for this. So I don't mind having it on, but I also don't mind not listening to it. So now when you get to my next 3, all of those are going to have, very, very strong moments. So that's why I was really close between this and Adrenalize, because on Adrenalize, I still do love Tear It Down. I can listen to that, but the shittiness of the lyrics put it at number 5. So, I'm not huge on Through the Night, but comes in at number 4. So, Jay, don't want to forget you this time. Jay, what's your number 4?
Adrenalize. I'm gonna agree with the majority here. Musically, I think the album's great. Lyrically, Jesus Christ. I don't really have a single clue what the hell they were thinking about when they wrote the lyrics to that album. Most of them, well, most of them should have been flushed down the toilet. Best way to put it. But yeah, musically, fucking great. I mean, it doesn't have the balls of the earlier stuff, but without Pete Willis's input, that was bound to happen.
Right. Okay. Pete Willis was, or do you mean Steve Clark? Or I mean, Pete Willis was on High and Dry, and
right. I meant Pete Willis.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
Because he wrote part of Pyromania.
Yep.
Hysteria doesn't have the same balls that the stuff before did,
Yep.
and what you take Steve Clark away from the two, and yeah, they got neutered for a while.
Yep. Okay.
Jay, you bring up a good point. Anybody know where Pete Willis is, and how bad does he regret his decision to quit Def Leppard? I'm just thinking
they
out loud.
kicked him out.
They kicked him
They
out.
kicked him out for his drinking. Def Leppard kicked him out for drinking. Like, really? How much of an alcoholic do you have to be that the rest of the band kicks you out?
Yeah.
That band loves to drink.
Especially after writing the song High and Dry, right, Brian?
Yeah.
All about drinking. No doubt.
Yep.
I remember hearing that he was playing in, like a small bar band or something in the 90s or early 2000s in Europe. But regret's got to be a motherfucker.
He did get another major record label deal with a band called Roadhouse, and they put out an album, I think in 91. It was 90 or 91, but it was very mellow. I mean, I've listened to it a couple times, and it's not hard rocking. And in 90, 91, it was already starting to get harder. And it was a really, Ryan, have you heard that? I'm assuming you've listened to that Roadhouse album.
Yeah, I love that album. It's very
Okay. Sure.
BB Steel, Adrenalize, Hysteria. I like it a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot more mellow, but it's good stuff.
Yep. Okay. All right. Now we're on to Brian. Will be the last of round 4, correct? Brian, what do you got at number 4?
I got the massively popular, overproduced, and overrated Hysteria. A lot of people are going to hate me for this. I loved it when I was a kid, but then again, I was 15 when it came out, so I grew up. But it did not hold up over time. It sounds extremely dated. I tried to listen to this, half the album I skipped. I mean, some of the skips, Women, not a good song. That's the first single, and it's like over 6 minutes long. Though I will say the solo at the end is pretty killer. Rocket stinks. That thing, another song that's well over 6 minutes. A minute and a half is them doing ground control sound effects and launching rockets and shit. Who needs to hear that? God of War, overrated, too long. I'm sorry. I'm a rebel and I ain't gonna fight no more. No way. Shut up. You're a vocalist. Calm down. What else is there? Yeah. Also with Rocket, it's got that Space Invaders bass line, which is terrible. Pour Some Sugar on Me, overplayed. If I never hear it again the rest of my life, I'll be a happy man. And you guys talk about the lyrics. This is where the lyrics really started going goofy and stupid. Love is like a bomb, baby, come and get it on. Ugh. And how exactly do you Armageddon it? Can someone please fill me in on that one? Because that makes no sense either. I mean, the first half of this album, they're all released as singles. They kept spitfire and stuff and hope something would stick. One of the singles I do like, Animal, is one of my favorite Def Leppard songs. It's a fantastic song. I think the second half of this album is way better. Songs like Run Riot is a toe tapper. That's a great song. Don't Shoot Shotgun, Excitable are good tunes. And I can't go through this album without bringing up the shit show that is Love Bites. That song sucks to high heaven. And it is 10 pounds of shit in a 9-pound bag. That song sucks balls, rinses out its mouth with mouthwash, and starts sucking balls again. It is so bad. But I mean,
I think you're offending Ryan.
But he's gritting his teeth. He's so gritting his teeth right here. But I think the title track and Love and Affection were way better ballads than that sack of dog shit. It's a terrible, terrible song. There are some good songs on, I'm not going to say, but this is the album that really, you say polished, I say way overproduced. And this is where they started having that Def Leppard sound, where on the plus side, they had great backing vocals on this, and that's been a staple for their sound since. But I mean, like I said, if you listen to an album from '87, it was The Appetite for Destruction, Pride by White Lion, the self-titled from Whitesnake, and this one sounds like it's from the 80s. This is so dated, and that's why it's at my number 4.
Okay. So you did like or you didn't like Love?
That steaming pile of it's a big bowl of cold diarrhea, that fucking song.
Hey,
Okay,
I'm glad
so
you're sick. I hope your fever gets even higher tonight. I'm glad you're
just
sick.
an observation.
And maybe then I
fellas.
like that garbage.
Brian, when you're sick, you're even more fucking hilarious than normal. Maybe you should find a way to get ill every night before we do this. I mean,
Give myself
a few
flu
more
shot,
doorknobs,
go to the
Brian.
weather.
All right.
I hope it's 105 when you go to bed tonight.
Yeah. I think that's what the problem was when they wrote Love Bites. They had that. When you make love, do you look in the mirror? Ugh.
Doesn't everybody, Brian?
Not me. No.
Hey, I like having mirrors around.
No way.
I like having mirrors around
turn
when I make
myself
love.
off.
What's up?
What about my bed?
That's right. Okay. I think everyone did their number 4s, and Jeremy kicked off the number 4. So Ryan is going to kick off the number 3. What do you got, Ryan?
Okay, the masterpiece that is Adrenalize. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I love it. Yes, it's too polished at times, but at times
That's
it's also
all times.
ripping. Okay, I'll say this: they went a little too polished for the year it was released, but you got to remember they were working on it for several years. So if they had it to do over again, I'm sure they would make it a little bit more retroactive than the finished product. But that being said, Heaven Is, Personal Property, I Want to Touch You, Tear It Down, and the absolute scorcher Japanese track that's really on retroactive that was on like a B-side of this, She's Too Tough, is probably one of my favorite Def Leppard songs of all time. Joe Elliott is in his wheelhouse. It's perfect. That high key thing he's got going on there. I love the ballads on this album. Let's Get Rocked is still fun to sing along to, and Make Love Like a Man is great with the silliest title I've ever heard. But I still love this album, and I'm a total sucker for it.
And I'll just make musically shit. You know how bands go back and re-record their old songs because they're like, oh, I didn't like the production. Usually it's just a way to get the rights to the songs.
Yeah.
But a band has never done this that I know of. Go back and rewrite the lyrics because I love and it's been said, I love shit, the music on Make Love Like a Man, the music on Heaven, some of that shit. I'm like, it just, I hear the lyrics and I'm like, ugh. So, I mean, as a, shit, go back and go, all right, hey, let's update these lyrics and let's give it another shot. But so I get why you like it,
Yeah.
And when Let's Get Rock came out, I was fucking mow the lawn, walk the dog, all right, now, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it seemed like the lyrics didn't mature, but the fans did.
Yes.
That's kind of what the big problem with that is.
The lyrics got way less mature than they were on Hysteria.
Yeah, which is, I find impossible, but they found a way.
The lyrics kept getting shittier and shittier instead of getting better and better, Anyway, okay. Moving on to Bergie and his buddy that is not here. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is High and Dry. And this to me is where, the last 3 albums that I have in my order, I'm not going to say they're interchangeable because they're not and have reasons for where I put them where they are. But this is where they started to come into their own, so to speak. This is the sound that I love and dig. And this is kind of where it all started, with the more polished production. This is the foundation for the other 2 albums that I have on my list. I think somebody said this too, and it might have been, did you already talk about High and Dry, Ryan? Yeah, so you said there's not a bad song on it. And I don't think
exactly.
There is. It's hard for me to pick some favorites on it. Just looking at the song list, and it's really hard for me to put this like squarely in the middle of the countdown, but I just have to because my reasons for my 2 and 1 just rank a little higher. There's a couple on I got this album, I want to say shortly after my first taste of Def Leppard was Pyromania. And I think I got this shortly after that came out. And it was the 1984 release, had a couple of extra tracks on there with Bringing On the Heartbreak remix and then Me and My Wine. So that's the album that I had. But even Switch 625, 625, that instrumental.
Yep.
Great tune.
Yeah.
Let It Go. The album starts off just with a banger like that. Love High and Dry. Just looking at the list, I can't pick out a bad song on it. So that's my number 3. Chad also had High and Dry at number 3. Here's what he had to say. Bringing On Heartbreak, great. Let It Go, and Mirror Mirror were his 3 favorites on that album.
Okay. All right. Okay. My number 3. And now it starts to get where I can still regularly play stuff from each of these 3 albums. I very rarely go to my number 5 and 4. But my number 3 is Hysteria. Now, when Hysteria came out and during the cycle of promotion, when all the videos, I probably said that this was my favorite Def Leppard album. And maybe it was one, I loved this album. Brian said it hasn't aged particularly well. I still love some songs on it, but Women and Rocket, I could do without now. Love Bites it bites. Pour Some Sugar on Me, I'm sure I loved when it came out. Now I don't need to hear that song. I still kind of like Armageddon It. I loved it back in the day. I still love Gods of War. I hear military undertones. I love at the end when you hear Ronald Reagan's voice come in and say, they counted on America to be passive. They counted wrong. And you hear those rockets taking off. I fucking love that part. I really like Don't Shoot Shotgun, Run Riot. I still like Hysteria. It's a good ballad, excitable. And, Animal is a fantastic song. So about half of it right now, I could skip. Oh, look who's here. Who do we got here, Ryan?
Oh,
Please
fantastic.
introduce your kids.
Sorry, guys. One of them's real sick, and they've been
Oh.
crying for me. So
That's
for
okay.
once, I'm home and I'm interrupting the whole mojo. I apologize, but
That's okay.
this is Lucy. She's
Hi,
sick,
Lucy.
poor thing, and this is Sally.
Lucy and Sally.
Yep, and my dog Champ.
Hi.
My dog Champ is a white boxer. He's running around too, so that's why I have it on mute a bunch.
Okay.
So
Well,
here
That's
we go.
awesome.
If you guys stay there, you will get to meet Charlie, my dog. She is a white golden retriever, and she's the best dog ever. And
That's
right now, she is outside chasing our cat because we have a cat named Steph Purry, and Steph Purry is outside probably killing voles, I'm sure. So
Perfect.
you guys are welcome to hang out on the channel and give your thoughts on Def Leppard. So
Good. They love it. So don't worry about your language either, because I'll have it muted, or they don't know. I'll
yeah.
go earmuffs.
No, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So anyway, Hysteria comes in at number 3, and awesome, amazing, 12 times platinum, and went to number 1. Just did not age well, but it definitely aged better than Adrenalize. So with that, let's go on to Jay. What do you got for number 3?
Hysteria. I would agree. It's a great album. When it came out, I loved it. Musically, it was still great. Lyrically, you guys already covered it. Like you were saying with Adrenaline Guru, it'd be nice if you could rewrite lyrics. I mean, I know what I would change Love Bites to right offhand. I mean, Love Bites, so go fuck yourself. My apologies to the kids. I forgot about that for a second. But no, musically great. Lyrically, it just, when you're a kid, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As an adult, it just doesn't cut it. Cheesy. However, Gods of War and Run Riot, I do love those 2 songs still to this day. I wish they would have had the production, especially on those 2 songs, like Pyromania.
Right.
They're great songs. They're just not, doesn't sound raw enough. It's too polished.
Okay. All right. Brian, what's your number 3?
My number 3, you guys are wrong on this one. On to the Night. I think it's a great debut. Yeah, if I want to listen to Saxon, listen to Saxon. If I want to listen to raw, new Def Leppard, I will listen to this. I mean, you guys said a lot about it already, though. Rock Brigade's a good tune. Rocks Off, Satellite, It Don't Matter. Wasted is a great song. I actually played that in a band, and it's such a great tune. I mean, this thing was back when Def Leppard was actually a rock band, not an overproduced corporate creation that they became later. I still like this album. You guys put it towards the bottom. Y'all wrong. That's all I got to say.
Hey, well, you don't have to be a jerk about it. Jeez.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Great artwork.
That's my MO. That's the theme for me tonight.
I just noticed for the first time ever that on that semi on Through the Night, there's a freaking guitar.
Yeah.
I never noticed that until like 2 days ago.
Dude,
There's a guitar. How did I
You
not
need
see that?
stronger glasses, man.
there's a semi on there too, if you didn't notice.
I noticed the semi. I didn't see the guitar.
It's also in space if you couldn't pick up on it.
Jeez. It's like, did you ever see the cover of the Boston first album? That's an upside down guitar.
Yes.
Yeah,
Son of
Yeah.
a gun.
I know. I love that stuff.
My
Yeah,
senses,
Boston.
Everyone was today years old when he found out there were guitars and rock album
my
covers.
my senses are failing me. All right. Okay. We're on to Jeremy's number 3.
Moving on to my number 3. you know, you got this new motor company, Def Leppard Motor Company out of Sheffield, and they come out with their, initial On Through the Night model. It was decent. Like I said, had that new car smell. It was fun to drive. But after a while, you kind of left it in the garage. But I'll tell you what, the follow-up model they put out, they really made some revisions. They had some new pinstripe options, new color packages. They just stepped up their game with this sucker, put the spoiler on the whole package, and you got High and Dry. And I'm telling you, this album is still one of my favorites of all time. And I didn't know it existed until after I heard Hysteria and Pyromania. Then Much Music out of Canada started playing all their videos. And they played this High and Dry, and I'm like, who's this brown-haired fro singing these Def Leppard tunes? Watch Joe. He opens his mouth, and I'm like, who in the hell is this guy, right? That's not the luscious locks that we were used to seeing. And he opens his voice, and I'm like, holy hell, this is Def Leppard. And you hear Saturday, and they kick into that. And Jay, I'm going to go to you, man. Thank you for bringing up Pete Willis, because in my opinion, after Pete Willis left, his influence was still heavy on Pyromania. They did become a lot weaker. Not saying worse, but they became more mainstream. They became more A&R friendly.
Absolutely.
I love the grittiness of High and Dry. So thank you for bringing that up, bro. But I loved Let It Go, High and Dry, Mirror, Mirror. There's not a bad second on this album. One song I just want to give a quick shout out to. I don't think it's much love. Maybe not the verses are that strong or the bridges, but I love the chorus of Lady Strange. I just think that is such a cool tune. And again, this is where you were starting to hear that vintage Def Leppard background vocals, the gang vocals that I grew up loving. And this was where Def Leppard really found their niche and started rocking our world. So that's my number 3, guys. Love it.
Okay, that wraps up the number 3s. Ryan started that round off. Let's go to Bergie to start off our number 2s. What do you got?
All right, this is where I have Hysteria. This album came out in 87, and I was 16 years old. And to your point about the logo, this is where girls were writing the logo on their notebooks, and they had the big hits. And in this album in 1987, I kind of felt almost like it was perfect. And maybe that's, like you guys talked about, doesn't age as well as some of those other albums that Brian mentioned. And I would wholeheartedly agree with that. But in 1987, this was pretty perfect. I mean, I totally agree, too, with women. What the hell are they talking about? Same thing with Rocket, and even to an extent Armageddon it.
Talking about women. They say it numerous times.
Exactly. Well,
just in case you didn't hear it the first 8 times they said it.
It's definitely not aged well. I do feel like they made a huge mistake on this album, having Darth Vader do the background vocals on Love Bites. I really... that song aged terribly, I believe. But I remember in 87 when that came out, I thought that's a cool song, with the Darth Vader stuff. But it just doesn't hold up, even though I got this at my number 2. And the reason why is because back then, in 87, it was near perfect, and it sold a ton of albums. Yeah. I mean, I know we're not ranking these albums by sales, or this would be number 1. But I still like it. I still pull it out and listen to it once in a while. I do want to mention, as much as I dislike Love Bites, there is a great ballad on this album. The very last song, Love and Affection, could have been a hit.
Right.
It could have been the 8th hit or whatever off of this album, but
yep.
That's my 2. Chad, this is where Chad has On Through the Night. And he says, Wasted, great riff, fun to play. Rock Brigade, great. Hello America, introducing themselves to America, like it.
Cool. All right. On to my number 2. And do you guys see? That's a love-hate blackout in the Red Room.
That's nice.
Final picture disc. Isn't that cool?
It's very cool.
And shit, I wanted to bring, what the fuck was the name of that compilation that they put out after Adrenalize again?
Retroactive.
I like Retroactive better than I like Adrenalize.
Amen.
Retroactive right away, and because I was still a huge Def Leppard fan, and I was like, what the? I'm like, this is better than the previous album.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway, my number 2, and I love this album. This album, it could be number 1, but it's High and Dry. Came out in 1981. Like, I feel like this album is ahead of its time because a lot of what they were doing on High and Dry was what bands were trying to do, like with RATT, coming out in 84. And so ahead of its time, the world wasn't ready for it because it didn't start selling a shit ton of copies until Pyromania came out. And then all of a sudden, I have a bunch of old ads, everybody knows, but like when Pyromania was blowing up, they started really promoting High and Dry on the ads. Like, hey, Pyromania is, at 3 times platinum, but you should go check out High and Dry. And shoot, they re-released Bringing on the Heartbreak during the Pyromania years. And which I can see why, because Bringing on the Heartbreak is one of the best songs ever. So High and Dry topped out at number 38 on Billboard. It did go 2 times platinum. Let It Go, I've often said, is possibly my favorite Def Leppard song of all time. That swooping guitar riff at the beginning is, I love that riff. Another Hit and Run. Geez, they were such a good, heavy, hard rock band at one time. What the hell happened? High and Dry is great. I said Bringing on the Heartbreak. You Got Me Running, I really like. And Mirror, Mirror, I really like. And the other songs are not bad. They're just not up to that snuff. And that's also the reason that it's at number 2. But this is the first album to be produced by Mutt Lange. And, this is back when Mutt Lange wasn't really, but when he started doing Foreigner 4, Pyromania, the next thing you know is like everything he touched went gold, platinum, and oftentimes diamond. So
including Shania Twain.
And who didn't want to, get a role with Shania Twain, and maybe yeah, holy shit. Anyway, so High and Dry, my number 2. Love this album. Jay, what do you got?
Pyromania. I love every single song on this record. There's nothing wrong with a single second of it. Just so happens, my number 1 has songs that I love a whole lot more than the ones that are on this CD. I was still writing my order for 1 and 2 when we started filming this. And I've been thinking about it for a couple days. So, I mean, when you have some of the records, like their earlier records, it's hard to pick. I mean, shit's just phenomenal.
All right. Okay, moving on to Brian. What's your number 2?
My number 2, Pyromania. I mean, these last 2 albums for me, it's a direction I wish the band stuck with. They were a great hard rock band and then went to overproduction, corporatization nonsense. But I mean, this album was kind of the start of them becoming more poppy, but every song on the album is solid because I have stuff like, Rock of Ages, I'll still raise the volume on. And Photograph and Fooling are classic Def Leppard songs. Stage Fright is a great song. Rock, Rock Till You Drop and Coming Under Fire. I mean, there's so many good songs on this album where part of me feels like the shift came because Alan lost his arm in the car accident. So you had more of an electronic, fake-ish sound to them. But I mean, this is the last, I think, really good rock album they put out. This is a solid album. That's why it's at my number 2.
Okay. All right. Jeremy, what's your number 2?
I'm glad I got to follow you, Brian, because I'm right with you with the Pyromania piece. Okay, so, there you go. You have your, finally, you're able to get a hold of this import. It's finally available for us to buy an American Drive and have our own slice of this Def Leppard Moco. And damn, was it worth the wait, guys, because this Pyromania album, phenomenal work. The sound, unbelievable. you had a lot of cowbell. The Thunder God was playing a lot of cowbell on this, which I'm a big fan of. So you get a lot of that. And you also get some great videos from this album. I think this was kind of the dawn of the MTV era. And they put out, granted, it's kind of cheesy now, but I still love it. I love what they were doing with their videos and the flames and the chicks and the guitars and the swords and everything, you know, take it from Dio or whatever. But Brian, you just touched on it. It was the last time we heard real drums from Def Leppard. And I was actually going to allude to that because I agree. Once he went all electric, which thank God the Thunder God did not hang up the stick. I say stick because it was singular, you know, but he kept playing. No, I don't mean to disrespect you guys. I mean, most drummers would have just thrown the proverbial towel. Again, one hand to throw, but still they would have, and he would have said, you know, I'm out. This isn't going to happen. But he kept prevailing, kept doing his thing. But what I thought was kind of prophetic, not pathetic, prophetic, was at the very end of Pyromania, which you guys touched on every song, so I'm not going to waste your time. If you get to the very end, okay, at the end of Billy's Got a Gun, and it's quiet, all of a sudden you hear that. That was electric drums. It was almost like he was already experimenting with that electronica sound a little bit at the end of that Pyromania album with that little fill. And when you crank that up on your stereo, it just sounds so amazing. But that is the sound that Def Leppard drums forevermore was known for, was the end of that Pyromania, which of course we know we got the Corvette accident and lost his arm and got gangrene. And yeah, we almost lost the God of Thunder. So I'm glad he stuck with it. But Brian, that's what I'm getting at right there, is you heard it at the end of that album. Then all those years later, they come out with Hysteria. There it was, that sound. It's kind of wild.
But at that time, a lot of bands were experimenting with more electronic sounds. In the early '80s, a lot of bands were doing stuff like that. They
had the pads, the little Alesis pads that they were doing. But yeah,
that was kind of foreshadowing.
That's the word
they were going to be.
Yeah, it really was.
And I shared this on X the other day. The fact that a dude lost his arm and kept his place on the drum kit for the biggest band in the world is one of the most amazing things in music history. Amen. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. A drummer losing his fucking arm. And you have to give the band, because how many bands would have been like, fuck no, we're not having sorry, man. We like you. You're an important, but you only have one, you're out. Yeah. They were like, no, we are recording this album. You take the time you need to see if you can figure it out. So even if you're not a Def Leppard fan, you have to salute the guys for sticking it out and letting him come back. And he is still on the band and they're still rocking. So,
well, they're still bandmates. It's not going to be dicks. That's kind of a dick move. Sorry, bro.
I know, but
a lot of bands did do stuff like that.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah.
You know, and when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar corporation, and hey, is this gonna hurt our? I mean, so I get what you're saying. They are bandmates, but I could see people going, "I'm sorry, dude. We'll try to help you out, but you can't be our drummer."
The record company saying that.
Yeah. Good point, Brian. Funny, they were that patient. Mercury.
Okay, we are on shit. Are we on number 2? Now I'm fucking lost. Number 2, Ryan, what do you got?
All right, Pyromania, near perfection. Set the stage for all things 80s production. Joe really found his voice here. The band found Phil, which is killer. Huge Leopard mania ensued and remained for years, which is great. One of my favorite tracks on the album is Action Not Words. I love that album track, dude. Photograph, Rock of Ages, Too Late for Love, all killer singles. Foolin' I love, but I'm not like super passionate about. Stage Fright and Rock Till You Drop are near perfection for me. The chorus to Die Hard the Hunter, when this performed live on the 88 tour on that album, listen to the second part of the chorus. It's kind of buried on the record, but live it's like really showcased. And it's huge the way they kind of change it up on the chorus. It's great. And then the killer artwork, and it kicks off the IA phase, the Hysteria, Pyromania, that kind of cool thing.
Diarrhea, we got it.
Yeah, whatever. I like that. So Euphoria, which would have been up there for me too.
Hey Ryan,
Yeah.
Quick question for you, bud. When you hear that first line of Stage Fright, since you brought it up, welcome to my show, and the way in which he says that, do you feel like you are right there in the round, ready to rock your face off every time?
Yeah, it's so great because I love how they open with that on the in the round in your face, and then the curtains drop up when it really kicks in. It's
Yes.
like it's like goosebumps, like it is for opening with Back in Black. You know what I mean?
Right
It's
on.
just like every time it's goosebumps. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Well said.
Don't ask the rest of us what we think of Stage Fright, Jeremy. It's all about Ryan and what he thinks. So,
Hey, man, he's the only one. It was it.
just messing with you. Just
Zipping
messing.
lip.
Okay. Moving on to Bergie. What's your number 2?
We're on number 1 now, aren't we?
Or did everybody did their number 2, right?
I did my
Okay. We are on our number 1. And
Come on, host better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shit. Oh. Okay, we're on to number 1, and it's my turn to start. So my number 1 is Pyromania. And I remember when they were talking about how Hysteria, they wanted to get 7 singles. And I don't know if the average music fan understands this, but a lot of times with an you only have so much time in the studio. So bands would put together their 10, 12 songs, and the producer and the band would go, okay, we're really going to focus on these 4 and try to make them, because we want 4 singles. Well, on Hysteria, they were going for 7. They did 7 singles on Adrenalize. I don't think there is a song on Pyromania. I think every song could have been a single on Pyromania. There's not one song where I go, yeah, that wouldn't work on radio. Every song. And it's kind of off topic, but sometimes my favorite parts of songs are these weird parts. So do you remember at the beginning of Photograph, you hear that one little guitar,
Ding.
and then a couple seconds later, dan. I love that opening, oh, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, here it comes. I get so excited when I hear that part. So anyway, it went 10 times platinum. It came out in January of 83. It only went to number 2 because Michael Jackson had to fucking exist along with an album called Thriller. So, it's the perfect album. If I ever had to do a video on All Killer, No Filler, there are a few albums that would make it, and this would be one of them. It's my favorite Def Leppard album.
Nice.
So, okay, Jay, what's your number 1?
High and Dry. Excellent. Let It Go is great. Another hit and run. Nobody really mentions it. That song is fucking killer. The song High and Dry. Switch 625. I'm a guitar player. I absolutely love that instrumental. Bringing On the Heartbreak is great. Lady Strange is great. The song On Through the Night is incredible. Mirror, Mirror is phenomenal. And No, nobody mentions that song either. That song is almost fucking thrash in a way. The verses, I mean, take a listen to it, listen to some early Anthrax, Metallica, whatever, you're going to see some similarities. I mean, I absolutely love everything about the album.
All right, good call. You're number 1, Brian.
My favorite Def Leppard album, High and Dry. I mean, every song is great. All Killer, No Filler. Let It Go might be my favorite Def Leppard song of all time. But some other songs, some have been mentioned already. Another Hit and Run is great. Lady Strange is great. Mirror, Mirror. And I literally read off my list. I have No on there too. It's such a great song. I mean, we will never get a Def Leppard album this good or this quality ever again because they've completely changed their sound. But top to bottom, it's a fantastic album. It's their best. Unfortunately, they went a different direction in '87, but that's my number 1.
When you hear the vocals on High or On Through the Night, and then you get to the opening track of High and Dry, which is Let It Go, and when Joe Elliott starts getting to those highest parts of the chorus when you're like, no way. That, I mean, it was a completely different vocal style than what you had on Through the Night. And I think a lot of that was Mutt Lange is like a main vocalist. You know, he got him to go places that he didn't know he could go before. But that's when like that Def Leppard sound and that Def Leppard voice when it came into play for me anyway. So
you're right. A good producer, I mean, that's their job, is to push the band. He definitely did it. I mean,
totally.
Maybe a little too far later on, but
right
at that point, he did exactly what the best do.
Yep. All right, Jeremy, what's your number one?
All right, G. I just want to comment on that little guitar thing at the beginning of that. I love that too. I love that kind of stuff. And I think one thing that nobody mentioned, and Offspring actually loved it so much they put it in one of their tunes. Won't du Gleben Glauten Globen, right? Yep. Who doesn't love hearing that? Whether it's the Offspring doing it because it's exactly the same, or if the Def Leppard, and then you hear that cowbell. So I just wanted to kind of play off what you were saying. That's another great intro right there.
Totally.
Yeah. So anyway, that is not my number one, as we know. This number one was the GT. This was the high performance package. This was the bells and whistles, the dual exhaust. This was, Metal Trend's car of the year. This was more award selling than any other hot rod ever. And god dang, if we couldn't get it right here in America and get our hands on it right away. And it was affordable for us. And of course, that hot rod I'm talking about is Hysteria. And it is and always will be what Def Leppard was, and always will be for me. Not saying that I don't maybe like some of the songs on the other albums more, but this was what led me to Def Leppard, was this album. And we saw the video for Women, which was a flop. We all know that. But I liked the tune and I liked the video. And we went up to Minot State Fair and I bought LA Guns and my brother bought Hysteria. And we got to my house. We popped that sucker in. We're playing it, right? Expecting to hear Women. And this is no bullshit, guys. You can't make this up. What plays is Fastway's All Fired Up album. Literally. It was the right printing. It was Def Leppard with all the printing, all the packaging, Mercury Records. But the music that was on that cassette was Fastway, All Fired Up, which was also one of my favorite bands back then. But what a weird thing, right? To have that happen. You put it in and there it starts with Fastway and we're like, what in the hell? So we're like, well, this got to be a joke. So we fast forward and it's literally the whole Fastway All Fired Up album. We took it back to Kmart, if you can remember Kmart. We said, hey, this is the wrong album. And they were like, what do you mean it's the wrong album? It's blah, blah, blah. We said, it's printed right. It looks right. It is not the right album. It's a band called Fastway. I wish we would have kept it. It maybe would have been worth something, maybe not. But I just wanted to give you guys that little anecdote. But anyway, so then we got the right album, went back to my aunt and uncle's, we put it in, and we listened to that sucker top to bottom, and we listened to it for years, eventually getting Pyromania, then being blown away by High and Dry, and the onslaught just continued, the Def Leppard freight train from there on out. I want to give a shout out to my brother Shannon right now. He is the biggest Def Leppard fan I know. I swear to God, if we went out to his shop right now, on his big screen TV in his shop, there's a Def Leppard video playing. I promise you, as we speak, as we live and breathe, he's got a Def Leppard video playing in his shop as he's out there doing whatever he's doing in his shop tonight. So Shannon, this is for you, my man.
Ask him if
man after my own heart.
Ask him if he wants to come out sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Women video had that goofy comic book shit on it, didn't it?
Yes, it did, Brian.
Not the one with the guy with the leather jacket and a flying skateboard. Wow, really try harder to appeal to kids.
I know.
Oh,
I was 10. I was 10. I dug it, I was
Carl, there you go. Of course.
Yeah, but
cool.
But
rock
yeah,
guy,
that Fastway thing is pretty wild, huh?
What was that?
That Fastway thing is quite a kick, huh?
That's interesting. Fastway was on the same label, weren't they?
No, that's the real. No, that's
odd.
They were Epic. They were Epic Records, and Def Leppard was Mercury. So I don't know how in the hell that got screwed up in the factory.
Have you guys noticed that when Brian's sick, like, man, he really is short and kind of a fucking dick.
Brian, I think you're a sweetheart, and I'm happy for you, brother.
Don't get fucked.
Brian is funny, Brian.
Right. Okay. We're on to shit. Ryan, right? Jeremy just did. Ryan, what's your number one?
All right. Well, Hysteria. Okay. This is going to be as passionate a gushing you'll ever find for any album. But I put Joe Elliott as my number one on our vocalist lists. I put In the Round in Your Face as one of my favorite live video albums of all time. Hysteria is probably my favorite album of all time. My favorite artwork of all time. Okay, let me get to the negatives. Women in Rocket. The only thing I'll agree with Brian. Okay, Brian, who's now not my friend. I hope his fever gets to 106 now. Anyway,
I knew this would happen. Go ahead.
Okay, other than that, I feel like this album is like an 11 out of 10. It contains the best melodic hard rock song of all time in Animal. It's like my desert island song. Love the ballad with perfect vocals. Contains two fantastic mid-tempos in Hysteria and Love and Affection. It contains a Living on a Prayer / Don't Stop Believin' classic in Pour Some Sugar on Me that everybody knows. Yeah, I don't listen to it all the time anymore. But and some of my favorite album tracks, I love Gods of War. I think Gods of War is like an epic genius song. It also has the non-single that most bands would give their right nut for, and that's Don't Shoot Shotgun. Try getting that chorus out of your head. I don't know if you guys ever heard I Want to Be Your Hero. It's on Retroactive, but that was the throwaway.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That
and it's like
fucking killer.
when you have an album that has like too many killer songs and you got to throw away I Want to Be Your Hero and put it on like a B-sides album, it's like, dude, that just goes to show the strengths of this album. So anyway, that song could have been another band's crown jewel. It's diverse. It's laid out in the perfect order. All the songs are amazing live, and it was worth the 4-year wait. So I feel like this album is perfection.
And it sold 12 million copies, and any band would give their right arm to sell 12 million copies. Well, except for Rick Allen, but
Yeah, he did.
anyway.
Well, then again, Joe Biden got 81 million votes supposedly. So
that's right.
The masses are asses. But let's continue.
All right, Bergie, what's your guys' number one?
Shameless plug again for our show. We just did an episode not too long ago on the heavyweight Hysteria, the juggernaut that was, versus Pyromania. And Chad and I both came up with Pyromania on top, like clear-cut winner. This is, again, like High and Dry, and even more so because it goes up to my number one spot, where there's not a bad song on this album. Every song is killer. So this is literally the all-killer, no-filler album to me. The German gibberish, Gunter, Gleben, Glauken, Globen, I mean, it has no meaning at all, but you hear that and you're ready to rock. I love what you and Jeremy both said, Guru, about the weird things and songs that you hear and you like. And I know there's a million examples. The only one I can think of right off the top of my head is the little slide on lack of communication from RATT, and then it kicks in. But there's all kinds of that stuff that, for whatever reason, I guess you and I and Jeremy just kind of catch and love that shit. But yeah, rock till you drop. Photograph, Stage Fright. That Stage Fright, the beginning of that, awesome. Think they should have opened the album with that song, but I'm splitting hairs now. The hits, Foolin', Rock of Ages, but deep track or album track, whatever you want to call it, Action Not Words, love that song. And Chad has his notes say, fucking great album, all killer, no filler, Too Late for Love, Die Hard, The Hunter, and Billy's Got a Gun are his three favorites on that.
Okay. Are the kids gone? Ah! I had a joke I was going to tell, but that's all right. That's all right.
I want to say something. You guys have been bringing up that little guitar sound before. Photograph.
Oh, no.
Hi.
Sorry. Don't censor yourself. I will make sure they don't hear it. Don't worry about it.
They're saying hi to Brian, Ryan. I don't know if you approve of that.
Hysteria is overrated. Don't listen to your father. Hysteria
He's
is
the
not a
bad guy.
perfect album.
What were you saying about that guitar?
That gets that little sound. It almost sounds like, who plays that part? Is that that's not Phil Collins. That's
Steve Clark?
what's his face? Clark. He's
Clark.
playing it. But it almost sounds like he's putting his picking hand up to the guitar to play the main riff, and hits the string almost accidentally as he's positioning himself, and then plays it out. And they decided we're going to keep that in there.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like to me, though.
And Mutt Lang with the Grundtag Dieben, he used to do that just joking around, and then they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna leave it in.
Well, just like the end of the album had the electric drum as a prelude to what Hysteria would be like, that nonsensical gibberish is the prelude to the vocals or the lyrics to Hysteria and Adrenalize. They kind of called it from there.
It was like him counting into the song to start. You know, he just threw that.
Well, I think that was the original premise. Instead of just going 1, 2, 3 and kicking into the song, they did that instead. Decided to keep it in.
Right. Okay, so did everybody get their number one in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, so obviously my list was the correct list, and the rest of you don't know shit. Okay, so with that ends our Def Leppard roundtable. Who got it right? Who got it wrong? We know. It's okay. You can tell them. I won't say anything. In fact, that reminds me of when I was a little kid, I used to ask my mom who was her favorite kid, and I'd be like, it's okay. You can tell me. I won't tell the others. So anyway, hey, share with us your list. You know, what is your Def Leppard ranking? And if you want to add any albums past Adrenalize, go ahead. With that, our roundtable guys, thank you so much for being on again. I really do appreciate it. And the subscribers really seem to love this format. So thank you. Bergie, tell Chad we hope that he can make the next one, and appreciate you being on again, man.
Sure he will. Thanks for having us. Or shouldn't I say us again? Thanks for
He's
having
here in
us.
spirit.
We'll have us next time.
And we did record a Tesla roundtable with the Rock Resurgence radio guys, and that's going to be out when?
Next Friday.
And that is what, the 27th. So I actually have a thought. Shit, I think it's Lucas, if I'm wrong, but he's like, dude, I need to see this Tesla roundtable. So I told him it's coming out on the 27th. So please go follow the guys on Rock Resurgence Radio. They're doing a lot of great stuff on their channel, weekly videos, a lot of YouTube shorts. So go follow them. Jay, thanks for being back on the show, man.
Thanks for having me back. Always a good time.
And you were awesome today. I thought it was kind of fun when you were out at the race joint
at the track,
because I don't think you were feeling it. I don't think you were feeling any pain that night either.
You know, the pain I felt was my teammate wiping his ass with the baby wipes next to me. You know, the next day after we recorded that video, it took me till 2 p.m. to get that motherfucker to wake up.
I'm sure.
It took me all of last week to recover from being at the track that week. 10 hours and 6 days isn't enough sleep, fellas.
I've been sober for 20 years, but sometimes I think about, and I'm like, fuck, it used to be fun to go to 3-4 day rock festivals and just drink your ass off anyway.
If you ever decide to come to the Boone Super Nationals, we may never see you again. If you don't run off with some seedy stripper, you might die in a sea of bush light.
Hey, seedy strippers need love too, all right? Seedy strippers need love too. Hey, thanks again for being on. Brian from the Hairband Basement, man. Great to have you back.
Thanks for having me on. I might as well plug my stuff, though everyone's going to hate me after me flaming Hysteria. But download the Stationhead app. You can put in Hairband Basement, catch the deep tracks. So no Pour Some Sugar on Me, Armageddon It, or the god-awful garbage Love Bites. And you can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at HB Basement. Always talking music there.
And Jeremy, I'm trying to get Jeremy onto X to join our crew. But Jeremy, thank you so much for being back on, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. It's homecoming week out here, so it's been a busy one. We were supposed to be having a bonfire tonight. My son actually won Homecoming King this week, so plug for him, for Braden. And yeah, we were going to go over there and do some pictures, do some bonfire, but it's too windy out here in North Dakota. Imagine that. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, the school that his kid goes to, there's only 2 boys in the senior class, so let's not get our panties in a bunch about.
Hey, that's pretty good luck if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They flipped a coin, right?
Hey, when I was a senior, my senior class had 9 boys and 1 girl.
Oh,
So, I mean, that kind of shit does happen. And yes, she won Homecoming Queen. Okay.
Mhm.
Hey, Ryan, so awesome to have you back, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for dealing with my angels running around.
It was great meeting them, bud.
Sorry about that, but hey, pretty passionate about this band. I love them very much. I probably listen to Def Leppard as much as I listen to AC/DC. And Hysteria will forever and always be way up there for me. So thanks a lot for having me.
Awesome. Hey, would love it. Again, like, subscribe, all that. And I want to throw this plug out there because today is the 18th of September. In 1 month, October 26th, I'm inviting you guys and everybody. There is the Fargo Record Fair, and it's at a place called the Fargo Brewing Company. Tons of vendors are going to have vinyl, CDs, cassettes. I will be there with all my framed shit. So if anybody wants to make the trek to Fargo to go to a record fair, and
you find some way to get me out of work that day, I would love to attend.
fucking call in sick and be like,
Harvest season,
record
I don't
me.
even know if sick or death is an excuse, but if you have a month, you'll think of a great idea. I have faith.
So you can come to the record fair, and then if you are a viewer of the channel, you're welcome to come to the House of Hair and look through all my stuff and I'm not just trying to make money. Feel free just to come and hang out too. No purchase necessary. And if you're a fan of the show, I will definitely give you major discounts if you want anything that I have. So with that, thank you so much for watching. And again, like, subscribe, whatever you can do to support the channel. I just appreciate you being here. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care.